Davante Adams, the star wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers, sat confidently in the spotlight during a post-game interview. The excitement from his latest performance had barely settled when the talk show host turned to him with a sharp question. "Davante," the host said, a smirk creeping up, "you've built an incredible career, but people wonder, why don't you use your platform more? You're quiet on social issues, and some say you're avoiding responsibility. What do you say to those who think you're just another football player with no bigger purpose?" The room fell silent, and Davante's response would leave millions speechless. Davante Adams, the unquestionable leader on the field for the Green Bay Packers, had always let his performance speak for itself. His skills were unmatched, and his focus on the game was undeniable. Off the field, however, he was a man of few words. While some athletes were known for speaking out on social issues, Davante had always preferred to keep his personal views to himself. He believed in actions over words, supporting various charitable causes, and mentoring young athletes without feeling the need to broadcast every effort. His choice to remain largely silent on political matters, however, made him an easy target for those who believed athletes should be the voice for change. As Davante continued to dominate the NFL, the pressure to speak out mounted, especially as the media landscape grew more obsessed with athletes' roles in social activism. But Davante had always stayed true to his core values. He believed in letting his on-field performance and community efforts define him, not his public stance on every issue. To him, football was an outlet for greatness, but his real impact was in changing lives and making a difference in his own way. When Davante appeared on a late-night talk show, he thought it would be like any other post-game interview, questions about his performance, his next game, and maybe even a few fun anecdotes. But he wasn't prepared for what the host had in store. The host, known for stirring controversy, decided it was time to challenge Davante's quiet demeanor. "Derek," the host began, his voice laced with challenge, "you've built an amazing career, but many people are wondering why you aren't using your platform for more than just football. You don't speak up on issues. People say you're avoiding the conversation. What do you say to them?" The room fell silent, and everyone turned to Davante, waiting for his answer. This wasn't just about football. This was about who he was as a man, a leader, and how he chose to use his voice. Davante's response would change everything. The talk show host's question hung in the air, and for a moment, it felt like time had slowed down. The audience sat in anticipation, waiting to see how Davante Adams would respond to the blatant challenge. It was clear that this wasn't just about his football career anymore. It was about who he was as a person and the expectations placed on athletes in the public eye. Davante paused, not out of uncertainty, but because he wanted to make sure his response was measured. He had heard similar questions before, questions designed to provoke, to get a rise out of him. But he wasn't about to play into the narrative the host was trying to create. He wasn't going to let his integrity be questioned by someone who didn't understand his values. Finally, he spoke. "I hear a lot of people asking this same question," Davante said, his voice calm but firm. "They want to know why I don't speak out more, why I don't use my platform for politics. But what they don't realize is that my platform isn't just for what they want me to talk about." The host raised an eyebrow, almost challenging Davante to elaborate. "So you're saying that athletes shouldn't use their voice?" the host pressed, clearly hoping to catch him in a contradiction. "No," Davante responded, shaking his head. "What I'm saying is that everyone has their own way of using their platform. Some speak up publicly, some use their actions to show who they are. For me, it's about being an example to the younger generation and making an impact where it matters most, through my work in the community, through the people I mentor, through the charity work I do. I don't need to be out there shouting my opinions to make a difference." The host opened his mouth as though to argue, but Davante didn't give him the chance. "I don't think I need to fit into a mold just because the world tells me I should. I do things my way, and that way has always been about leading by example. The audience was silent. No one had expected this kind of response, so measured, yet so strong. The host was caught off guard, unsure of how to proceed. Davante had completely disarmed him. The silence that followed Davante's response was deafening. The host sat there, mouth slightly agape, clearly thrown off by how smoothly and confidently Davante had handled the question. The audience, which had been eagerly anticipating a dramatic confrontation, now found themselves frozen in awe. The host, clearly attempting to regain control, shifted in his seat, but Davante had already taken charge of the room. The conversation wasn't about politics anymore. It was about respect, leadership, and the power of actions over words. I understand the pressure, and I get that people want athletes to speak out on everything, but you're not going to get me to say something just because you want me to, Davante continued, his voice calm but unshakable. I don't need to fit into the box people try to put athletes in. I do what I do, and I believe in leading through my actions. That's how I make a difference. The host, still processing what had just happened, nodded slowly, unsure of how to respond. The moment of confrontation had slipped away, and now the audience was left with something much more substantial. Fair enough, the host finally muttered, clearly realizing there was no way to push Davante into the reaction he had been hoping for. The atmosphere in the room had shifted. What was meant to be a confrontational moment had become an example of grace under pressure. Outside the studio, the video of the exchange quickly made its way online. Fans, athletes, and commentators flooded social media with their thoughts. Most reactions were immediate and overwhelming. One tweet read, "Davante Adams just shut down that talk show host like a pro. He doesn't need to be loud to be heard. Just respect." Another user shared, "The power of action over words. Davante Adams handling it like a true leader." Celebrities from across the spectrum chimed in to show their respect for Davante's calm demeanor and wisdom. The clip quickly went viral, shared by fans, athletes, and influencers, all expressing how refreshing it was to see someone stand firm without getting caught up in the media frenzy. The response was clear. Davante had done something that went beyond football. He had set a standard for how athletes could handle the pressure of public expectations and still stay true to themselves. As soon as the video of Davante Adams's response went viral, the sports world and beyond was buzzing. The moment he shut down the talk show host was an instant topic of conversation among athletes, coaches, analysts, and fans alike. The boldness, the calmness, and the sheer strength of his response had struck a chord. The sports media quickly picked up on the story. Mainstream outlets, who typically focused on the next big game, were now devoting entire segments to analyzing Davante's power in silence. His response had redefined leadership for many in the industry. "Davante Adams doesn't need to shout to be heard," one analyst said in a special broadcast. "He's showing us all that you don't have to conform to societal pressures to be an effective leader. His actions do the talking." NFL players, many of whom were known for speaking out on social and political issues, showed their support for Davante. Patrick Mahomes tweeted, "Davante Adams just taught us all how to handle pressure with grace. Silence isn't weakness, it's strength." Other stars like Tyreek Hill and Aaron Donald also expressed their admiration. They applauded Davante for using his platform in a meaningful and personal way, without feeling the need to bow to external expectations. But it wasn't just athletes. The sports commentators who often pushed the narrative that athletes needed to use their platforms for political statements suddenly started to reframe their opinions. Many acknowledged that while athletes should use their voices, they shouldn't feel forced to conform to any one-size-fits-all approach. Davante Adams made a point that not all athletes have to speak out on every issue to be respected, said one sports journalist. His legacy is built on his game, his community work, and his actions. That speaks louder than any soundbite could ever. Even business leaders took notice. Several corporate figures who had previously endorsed outspoken activism now advocated for athletes to lead on their own terms. The conversation shifted from athletes must speak out to athletes must be allowed to lead in their own way. Davante's refusal to be pressured into making a statement for the sake of publicity was seen as a turning point, a shift in the narrative about the role of athletes in social issues. The moment Davante Adams shut down the talk show host spread like wildfire across social media, sparking a massive wave of reactions. Tweets, posts, and videos flooded every platform, and the world was watching. What was supposed to be a simple interview had become a defining moment, not just for Davante, but for athletes in general. Within hours, the video clip of the exchange was viewed millions of times on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Fans and commentators across the globe were sharing it, praising Davante for his calm response and unwavering conviction. One tweet quickly went viral. Derrick Henry might be the king of the field, but Davante Adams just showed the world what real leadership looks like. No need for noise when your actions speak. The hashtag #RespectDavante trended worldwide. Fans flooded social media with messages of support for the wide receiver's refusal to conform to the media's expectations. A few of the top responses included, "Davante didn't raise his voice, but his actions said everything. That's leadership right there." Davante Adams. If you're a true leader, your actions speak louder than your words. Davante just showed us how to handle the noise. For respect Davante. Even celebrities, who weren't involved in sports, began to show their admiration. Actress Zendaya tweeted, "Davante Adams just made silence so powerful. You don't have to scream to make a statement. Your actions and integrity say it all. Should respect Davante." The reaction wasn't limited to just positive comments. Some fans who initially thought athletes needed to use their platforms for political purposes started to rethink their stance after seeing Davante's response. Many began to appreciate the freedom athletes should have to decide how and when they speak out. One user posted, "Davante Adams didn't have to make noise to be heard. Maybe we should stop demanding athletes speak on every issue. Let them lead in the ways they believe in." Davante Adams. Even politicians took notice. A well-known senator shared, "Davante Adams showed us that true leadership doesn't involve following the crowd. It involves staying true to yourself and letting your actions make a difference." Well said. At Davante Adams. The message was clear. Davante had opened the door to a new conversation, one that went beyond football. He had proven that an athlete's impact isn't defined by their willingness to be politically vocal, but by the legacy they build through their actions and the way they live their values. Davante Adams didn't need to be loud to make a difference. His actions spoke louder than any words could ever do. By staying true to himself, he not only shut down a talk show host, he sparked a global conversation about authenticity, leadership, and the power of silence. Some people speak out for attention. Others, like Davante, let their work and integrity speak for themselves. What do you think? Do athletes have to speak out on social issues, or can they lead in their own way? Comment below, like, share, and subscribe for more powerful NFL stories.